Hello. So this video is about sort of perceptions about race, things that I've noticed, and my main point of this video is that racism, especially in the Western, sort of North America, basically, um, it's not just a white person thing. I know I've seen a lot of videos about racism, and I find a lot of people sort of saying, "Oh, if only these white people could figure out that racism is bad, and then everything would be solved." But in fact, it's not just white people who are racist. I find minorities can be the most racist of all sometimes. But in sort of social media and in general, the only people who are being uh, sort of punished for racist behavior tend to be, the white, Caucasian, whatever you want to call them, population. And I think that's an important thing to note. Um, there's something about it. I just think racism in North America and Canada and the United States particularly, um, it's an interesting issue just because um, these are lands that were populated by immigrants. All the Caucasian people in North America are not indigenous to North America, and I think that gets forgotten. And a lot of the people who live here are non-Caucasian. They're also immigrants. So we're all from immigrant backgrounds, other than the indigenous people who are still alive in Canada and the United States. They still have communities and everything. Um, so I guess what I just wanted to talk about is um, this idea that once white people understand that minorities are equal and that they can't be discriminated against or whatnot, that everything will be solved. But in fact, we all need to work together to abolish racism. Um, Minorities perpetuate racism just as much, if not more, sometimes. I don't know if you watch the Boondocks, but there's that Uncle Ruckus, right? He's this black guy who hates black people. And there's a lot of that kind of behavior, especially in North America, where you have first, second, third generation immigrants who now feel this hate for their own cultural background because of whatever ideas that they have from society. And so they perpetuate the racist ideas, and then there's the populations, like there's a lot of friction, obviously, especially in the United States, between the black communities and the white communities, supposedly, and there's a hate there that's continuing to be fed with more hate. And as you may know, hate can't be conquered with more hate. You can only conquer it with love and understanding. And what you have to understand is that it's not white people who are creating discrimination. It's everyone. Everyone is creating this idea that minorities are less or are not responsible for this type of behavior. And it's just like sometimes these cultural groups are more similar than you realize. And if they could just understand that, I think it would go a long way to abolishing this kind of mentality. I don't know if you remember, there was a TV show quite a few years back called All in the Family, and there was like one of the main characters, Archie. He's the father, and he's like an old school sort of traditional sort of racist white guy. And at some point he has this family over. I can't remember why. but essentially it's a African American family, and the father of that family is equally as racist against white people. And you find out that they're actually quite similar, and I think there's a lot of that going on, and people don't realize just how similar the ideas are. Just this hate that's perpetuated, and yeah. So I just think that it's interesting because I don't know. I just think that I just always am fascinated by racist behavior and understanding it and people's reactions to racist behavior, and a lot of things happen. These white supremacist rallies, these Nazi rallies that have been going on, and then these counter protests of these people saying, "Oh, these white supremacists, they're evil, they're horrible, we hate them. We just want to be violent towards them sometimes." And that's just two halves of the same coin. You're just basically saying, well, these white people are wrong, and I should be able to, be violent and aggressive towards them because of what they believe in. So you really have to think about it, and I just, just thought I'd put that out there. Don't know, any thoughts? Anyways, ciao.